Thursday, May Cinco de Mayo. We'll call to order the Economic Development Authority meeting. We'll start with roll call.
Bevins.
Here.
Beezer.
Here.
Kirsch.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Yeager. Johnson.
Here.
That's it, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. That brings us to next, the approval amendment of the agenda. Looking to approve.
Move to approve, Kelly. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. That brings us to 4, the consent calendar, notice to public. All matters listed are considered routine by the commission and will all be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the commission votes on the motion to be adopted by a roll call.
Move to adopt, Bevins. Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar. Any discussion?
I have one question.
Tony?
On Visit Brainerd, they ask a question about a website name. Are they asking for our opinion on that?
Probably. I don't know.
I'm just wondering if we want to discuss it.
Don't get all technical on us now. It's early.
Let's pull Visit Brainerd off of the consent. We'll talk about that in new business 5B.
Move to adopt as amended, Bevins.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the consent calendar with moving Visit Brainerd to the new business 5B. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor? Oh, roll call.
Bevins.
Yes.
Beezer.
Yes.
Kirsch.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
And Johnson.
Yes, that motion carries. That brings us to 5, new business. 5A is discussion on business questions from Bladek.
They should be attached. Lori, if you want to go to the next page, they should be there.
What page are we looking for here?
Yeah,
Here we go. I got 19.
I reviewed the packet last night and I didn't see the attachment with the actual survey in it, so.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we actually have the questions to discuss here. I am reviewing the packet right now, and I noticed the same thing.
Tony will go get copies, Mr. Chair, if you would
Okay,
like
well
to
then
go
let's
to the
let's
Visit
just jump to 5B, the Visit Brainerd question. Tony, what do you think Visit Brainerd is asking?
They are asking about how do we feel about the URL www.brainerd.works. They're asking for our opinion, and then they also put in some ads in the back, so I'm not sure if they're looking for an opinion on the URL or on any of the marketing.
Well, if they are, I think it's all fantastic. Kelly, what do you think?
I always vote with you, Mr. Chair.
Yeah. I think Brainerd.works is fine. I don't think it matters. Is there an opinion?
I guess I'm wondering what is it exactly for? Is it just for the advertising aspects that they're trying to put out there? Or, I mean, I guess I thought maybe they'd just put it on the Visit Brainerd website, but are they buying a new URL for this purpose?
I think Brainerd Works would be a new URL, but that's like $12. We're giving them like $35,000 to advertise.
Are we sure it's within the budget then?
I'm not sure.
I guess I have no problem with it.
Yeah, looking at number 2, I think this URL is going to focus directly on entrepreneurs, development, investors, like basically starting a business downtown, like,
Tony, what page are you on?
I am on,
14.
Thank you.
so
Item
I think they just want to pull it out of Visit Brainerd and have one focus directly on if you want to start a business, here's your go-to spot, is what I'm assuming. I like it. It's different. I like their campaign, so I think I like what they're doing, so.
I agree.
I think so too, and I think, Brainerd Works is a pretty good URL for a recruitment campaign. Because Brainerd works.
Yeah.
And Mr. Chair, if you'd like, I mean, I could ask Mary Devine Johnson if she could attend the June meeting and go into this in a little more detail, if you would like that. I know we have asked our consultants to be present at least once a quarter. So I'm happy to ask her if she wants to be here in person and walk the commission through this.
Yeah, I think that would be nice to have her come here and present to us any questions she has or any direction or anything she wants. She can come get it in person. That would be a lot easier than asking me at night.
I agree.
I will reach out to her and see if she can come to the June EDA meeting, and then we'll put this as an actual agenda item and we can walk through it.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, now we're getting this BLADEC questionnaire that has a couple pages of questions on it that we can review, and this is like the only other item we really have to deal with today, I think, right? Yeah, outside of just staff reports. Do we want to go through these questions right now, or do we want to come back in a month after we've had time to review this and think about it, or what is anybody thinking?
I'd like some time to review it. It looks good, but I would like some time.
Yeah, so let's all take this home and let's come back in the June meeting and come back with any possible improvements or changes we could suggest to Tyler or BLADEC on the questionnaire. Tyler?
Yeah, Chairman, if you guys all have my email address, I mean, if you're reviewing this and you want to edit some changes or you want some questions asked, I can edit it and then have it sent back for more discussion at the next meeting as well.
Run that email one more time, Tyler, please.
Tyler@growbrainerdlakes.org.
Okay, I like that, Tyler. So yeah, as we're reviewing it, if there's any changes or questions, let's just hit Tyler up real time and we can discuss it as a commission in a month. But
Yeah.
Tyler's available all month. Marie?
I was also wondering, before I review it, it would be helpful to know, like, what were we seeking to get information on to help, like, what questions are we wanting to answer from the survey? Did we outline anything, like, in our strategic planning meeting that we were specifically looking for? Or, like, I guess I just need a little more context of, like, what, questions we're trying to answer from the survey so that I can evaluate it better.
Well, you're in charge, Marie.
Okay.
So what questions do you
I'm
want
trying to
answered?
refresh my memory of, like, did we talk about this at our strategic planning meeting, and were we trying to, or maybe Tyler can just speak to how it's being used now and what you guys use the data for now?
Yeah, what we're currently using the data for is, as you'll see in here, if there are changes to their facilities, if we have questions around whether they're going to grow or expand. So then, if we can assist them with expansion plans, if they have financing needs, we can assist them with those. We ask them questions around their workforce and what type of workforce needs they have currently. Are they struggling to find workers? Some of our recruitment activities come out of these questions, where if somebody's saying, "Hey, I'll use a business as an example, a manufacturer out on the east end of town. When we went and did a visit with them about a month and a half ago, they realized that they were not using the right tools, the resources that we had to find a quality engineer. And so out of that visit, we got into quite a bit of detail around that, and then Mike Bierkness and our workforce director ended up hiring and placing someone with them a week ago. So that's some of the detail that we get into, and that's how we use the information here. There's also some questions on the backside around, what's the market information, where are your primary markets, so we can understand our businesses a little bit better. So primarily what we use it for is, the expansion and growth opportunities, workforce opportunities. That's a lot of the questions that are in here. And some of them also we can build some different things off of them if they're looking to, maybe utilize the college for some of their service, some of their workforce needs, or the high schools for some of their workforce needs as well.
So do you administer this to like every new business that you see opening up, and then do you follow up with them periodically, or how do you administer the survey and decide who takes it?
So we've been doing a report like this for, I went back in our records probably the last 10 years. It's gotten more detailed over the last few years as we've been using it to do some of the items that I described. So we follow up. We'll typically follow up in a couple of years. If we visit them this year, we won't visit them for a couple more years unless they're asking us to come out. But primarily, if we see a new business that's opening, we will take this out to them. If someone has relocated here, we'll definitely go out and visit them.
So is the goal to administer to this to like every business in Brainerd, or how are you selecting who?
That would be outstanding if the bandwidth is a little challenging just because these visits are typically pretty intensive too. So we take a lot of time. We'll tour their facilities or we'll tour their businesses. And if the owner has time to answer these questions, we definitely will. But
Sure.
it'd be fantastic if we could get to everybody.
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand how the business gets selected, so we're getting a good representation, across different business types and business sizes and all that, so.
We also did it during the, when they were 6th Street, when they were doing 6th Street, we went down and pulled the businesses on how it impacted them, how the shutdown of the road impacted them. During the river, as we began River to Rail and as we continue to move through River to Rail, it's something that we would take out to the businesses during that time as well. And we still continue to do that with that primary list for sure.
Okay, so there's not really a systematic.
There's
method
not.
It's just kind of when you see a need or when you identify like a area that you want to get more information on, you're just targeting those businesses.
Yeah, for Brainerd, for sure, yes.
And is this administered just by paper? Do you have electronic, like a online survey that people can fill out, or is it just paper at this point?
It is just paper at this point. And the reason we've kept it at paper at this point is that I just take it basically on a clipboard with me when we go to these visits and fill it out as we're there. So
Sure.
sit and ask the questions as we run through.
And then is the data input into like a database or something? And
Yes.
you just have it all, so you can kind of pull from it and see who else been interviewed and
Yes.
what the
Yep.
responses were?
We store them all in and again, the information, is confidential. So as we're asking their name, so we keep it in our SharePoint, our secured system. All of these reports we keep in there.
Okay, great. Yeah, that answers my questions on how the survey is administered. I guess I would need to go back and like look at our goals that we had set, or like what are we trying to understand? Are there gaps in like the types of businesses or the needs that businesses have? I guess I just would need to read up a bit more on that to know like, if there's anything missing from here that we aren't gathering data on that we are wanting information on.
Yeah, at first thought, Marie, I think related to our goals, it relates back to kind of the economic gardening of helping the businesses we have in Brainerd grow by one employee, right? Instead of recruiting a 500 employee paper mill, we're trying to help 500 businesses each employ one more person, right? It's kind of one of the goals we had coming out of our strategic planning session, and I think Bladek can help us with that, especially since they're doing site visits and things like that. And I imagine, Tyler, when you have these site visits and people are saying, we're planning on growing in the future and we're planning on making investments, you follow up after a set amount of time to see if they had and how it went.
Oh, 100%. And how can we help? Is there tools that we have that are going to assist you all the time? Yep.
Jennifer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I do have the goals up, just on my computer.
Yeah.
But the goal that this, I think, is really specifically addressing is create programs and seek funding to address identified needs. And a couple of the action steps are evaluate the results of Bladek's business interviews to assess needs and categorize them. The other is to develop and propose programs to address the needs identified from Bladek's business interviews. And then the third one is seek funding sources to support proposed programs. So I think in our goals and when we met and had our strategic plan, it really was to try to take these interviews and figure out if there are programs that we could create or develop in order to support our business's needs. And I'm happy to, if you want, I'll send this out again, the goals, or if we discuss this again in June, I'll make sure that the goals are included in your packet for this discussion if you would like me to as well.
Great, thank you.
Thank you. That's not me buzzing, right? Whose phone is that?
What it is.
Okay, well, some people can't. So I think that's enough on this discussion for now. Let's look over this over the next month. Send Tyler any questions or comments. He'll respond, and we can kind of discuss this full questionnaire next month and see if there's any changes we would like for, at least for businesses in Brainerd that the EDA is interested about. We'll hit that up next month. That brings us to 6, informational, nothing. 7, staff reports, city administrator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Just a few updates that I thought you might be interested in. Commissioner O'Day let us know he saw an article in the Brainerd Dispatch that Crisp and Green, which is a restaurant based out of Wayzata, is looking to expand into greater Minnesota. They currently have 8 locations in Minnesota, and they really would like to have a restaurant in the Brainerd Lakes area. Jennifer Haskamp and I did reach out to them to see if we could assist them in their search, and have provided them with some locations. We have not heard back from them. But again, thank you, and anytime you see anything like that, please let us know, and we'll make sure that we're reaching out and being proactive on those. Also, Quick Trip has been looking for a location in the Brainerd Lakes area as well. We also sent them several locations that they potentially could consider. Again, haven't heard back from them, but we will circle back around with them. So anytime you hear that, again, please just let us know. Couple of other things that I thought may be of interest. Paul Sandy, our city engineer, has taken a position with WSB. That position was posted, and we hope to have somebody on board by September 6th. Also, the Community Development Director, applications are due by March 10th. We've received 6 applications so far. The council appointed council members Johnson and O'Day to a work group to assist staff with the hiring of both positions. We have slated March 24th for interview. Feels like March. May 24th for interviews for the Community Development Director. I think we mentioned this at the last EDA meeting, but the 210 reconstruction has been postponed to 2026. We are, however, moving forward with the Mississippi Landing Trailhead Park. If you've been down there, the trees have already been removed. On Monday night, the council selected custom builders, and construction is hopefully starting in spring with the construction of East River Road, or the redesign for parking of East River Road, starting after the 4th of July. And then my last item of note, we're in the final stages of negotiating an agreement with CLC for the PEG channel. So after over 2 years of not having our meetings on cable, we will be working with CLC. We hope to have council meetings as well as board and commission meetings on cable in June. I don't know if it'll be done in time for the EDA June meeting, but I would assume we will have the July EDA meeting on cable. And that's it, unless you have any questions of me, Mr. Chair.
Any questions? In that same gas station vein, I would just like to welcome Casey's expanded footprint in the area. Q stores sold out to Casey's, all of their locations, so Pine Square, College Square, are all Casey's now. One of the finest pizza chains in America.
Great pizza.
It also sells gas.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank
3-2
you.
beer.
Okay, that brings us to the next item. I'm looking at the city council agenda. Here we go. HRA Director, Eric, there you go.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. A few updates today from your packet, and then a couple that have come up since the packet went out. The Crown County HRA will be holding a public hearing at their next regular meeting on May 10th to finalize the final tax forfeit lot over in Serene Pines and get that sold off to Level Contracting LLC. We've been working on that for a while now, but everything's finally lined up where we can get that sale hopefully completed on the 10th. And Level is hopeful to actually build on that lot in the next 12 months. likely sooner. So that's a good outcome for the city of Brainerd there. And then in April, I did get a chance to finally go to an in-person conference, went to an executive director's boot camp through Minnesota NARO, the National Association of Housing and Redevelopment Officials. It was a great opportunity for me to network, to get to know some of my other compatriots throughout the state and the region. We had about 40 EDs out there. This boot camp is the first time that Minnesota NARO has hosted this boot camp. It's put on by the National NARO Association. Really, really good information. I would say overwhelming information because there's a lot of stuff that I get to do. And this just put a lot of good focus back on those very important tasks for our agency. We do run a number of programs throughout not just the Brainerd, but Crow Wing County and Crosby agencies. Terrifying, but in a good way, I think. Good for me to get to do that after 18, 19 months on the job. So it was appreciative of being in person in that. A couple other updates. I will make my radio debut also on May 10th on Community Focus, taking Baxter's slot for that week. They had some good discussion whenever the last slot was, I think it was last week, to talk about housing and the shortage of housing in Crow Wing County that we continue to speak of. And Ken and Tess thought that was a good topic, and Brad from City of Baxter is allowing us to take his slot to talk about housing and our housing study that we commissioned in 2020, and also the Crow Wing County Housing Trust Fund that we are actually rolling out. And we've got our first down payment assistance program applicant that just came in, and they want to close in the next couple of weeks. So that's really, really exciting. We're excited to get that word out there to hopefully a lot of listeners. But again, just trying to market the housing trust fund that we've got that can impact anyone in the county, but certainly City of Brainerd is right up there. We do rehab programs throughout that as well. So get to listen to me for a little bit, and if you choose not to tune in, that's okay. And then the last thing that came across my desk yesterday, I had a developer that dropped off 2 applications for, it's actually 3 parcels, but 2 buildable lots that are tax forfeit in Brainerd that they're looking to purchase. So we are just starting that process, but this will be infill projects for single-family homes. We continue to try to get the word out to our developers that those are available. A lot of them are buildable, and we'll be working through that process. I don't know if there'll be anything in front of the City of Brainerd at this point as far as any assessments. There are some assessments out there, but one of them is from a small cities development grant from 1983, and I believe that probably should go away because what I understand of those grants is they are forgivable after a certain amount of time. So hopefully a lot of those will get cleared up, but that developer is willing to look at paying assessments that are owed on that as well. Rehab, as far as John's working away at the agency, so he wasn't able to come today. We're still working on a number of MHFA loans within the area. That has seen a big uptick, and then again, we continue to take a lot of potential housing trust fund loans in and around the area, and certainly from Brainerd as well. Brainerd Oaks, Monty did take down 5 lots between Brainerd Oaks, Serene Pines, and Del Mar Estates in March. He is going to be purchasing another 5 lots in May, is what the idea is. So that'll be 10 lots that are continuing to be built out. If you haven't had a chance to drive through Brainerd Oaks, I suggest you do. There's a lot going on out there, a lot of building that's going on, and we're continually thankful for that partnership that we're getting all those homes built. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Yeah, I'm just, as you're talking, I know we're always looking for shovel-ready spots to start building homes. Northtown seems like it's almost full.
Yep.
I don't know how much you have had to do with that, but the west end of that has been largely untouched for a decade. Is there any plan to infill any of that?
Sure. So I don't, I certainly work with Tom, the owner of Thomas Allen Homes, and he's continuing to look for other opportunities, within Brainerd and the county for building. I don't know off the top of my head who the ownership is on those, and I'd be happy to chat with Tom on that. He feels he's probably got another 18 months of builds out in Northtown, so that might be part of that, but it's a good question that I'll follow up on.
Thank you.
Good observation, Mike.
there in 2006. And it hasn't changed much on that end.
Right,
No,
it
that's-
hasn't.
Building since 2006,
I know.
maybe.
Well, I think the city of Brainerd gets like $1 million per hookup.
Almost.
Right.
That's what I hear.
So hopefully we build a lot of houses out there.
I read it on the internet.
But Eric, I just want to point out here, we're at 83 lots, 83 new homes built in Brainerd, sold to the developer, that 3 council members didn't even want to happen 5 years ago. So I'm glad 4 of us did want it to happen because it's working out quite well.
You have names?
I've got names if you want them.
Can't remember.
But any other questions, comments? The HRA report? No, hearing none, we'll move on to item 8. Well, we're going to end too early for me today. I'm going to have 45 minutes with nothing to do. Tony, hopefully you have a lot of commissioners' comments. We'll start with you.
All right, one of my questions has already been answered. The second one is the CARES funds. We haven't mentioned that recently, so I was wondering if we could bring that.
Like ARPA funds?
Yep. So if we could bring that to the next meeting so we can see if there's anything we need to think
Okay.
in the future for to get going on those.
We will, just to give you a little update, the council has not officially decided how to use those funds yet, but they did elect the standard election allowance, means that it can be used for anything as far as government services and/or anything allowed under the ARPA rules. So that allows for easier reporting and the most flexibility of the funds.
So we can pretty much do anything a government is allowed to do, right?
Correct, plus anything that was allowed under the ARPA funds. We were concerned about the, like if the funds could be used for childcare, for example, as that's one of the things that is allowed under the ARPA rules. And it's, if we allowed the standard election, it could still be used for that as well because it is allowed under the ARPA rules.
Okay. Yeah, I would just like to hear a little more discussion to see if there's anything that we need to think of to move forward once we get the funds that we can.
We have, I believe, Connie, half of the funds. We have 700,000 and change. We're going to get just over 1.4 million. I mean, if you have economic development ideas,
Yeah. Well,
bring them. Let's spend that money.
That's what our board is for, so. That's it. Thank you.
Tony, I was counting on a half hour at least from you.
You know, some of us have other things to do.
Yeah, I have to be at Harrison at 9. Murray.
What, you gotta go back to second grade?
I don't really have anything. I just was gonna plug the DDBC Here for Good Market is starting up in June. It looks like we got a healthy group of vendors signed up, so we're gonna have a nice packed market this summer. Live music going on. We're gonna be having some days focused on kind of different workplace areas like teacher appreciation, government worker appreciation to try to pull those groups into the market. But yeah, it's going to be a fun summer. Those are going to be Tuesdays from 3 to 6 on 7th Street. So yeah, stop on by this summer and come visit us. That's it.
Well, I have a question, Marie. I'm hearing all kinds of buzz in the community about the podcast dropping.
Yes.
Is the downtown podcast dropping soon?
It is. We're shooting for like mid-May at this point. I know I'm going in to record. I'm going to be a guest on the podcast, so I'm going in Monday to record that. We have 4 episodes recorded right now, but we're doing some editing and production on those, but hoping to get those out soon.
Oh, ears are looking forward to that.
A lot of bleeps, I'm sure.
Especially the one with Paula Chapoulis. Ooh. Mike.
I really don't have anything to add, but I will say, Tyler, you mentioned last time South 6 was torn up. You were, what's that? Incorrect. No, you were talking to some of the businesses and seeing how that affected them. We're about to have the other half torn up along the further southern end of South 6th Street, so that should be probably any day here. I think the frost is gone, so everybody enjoy that. But something to think about. That's all.
Thanks, Mike. Kelly.
And I spent an hour and a half with MnDOT yesterday afternoon and evening going on the Washington Street project, which is now put back to 2026, but that will be a huge deal when it happens. It's going all the way from the western border of Washington Street past the 25 intersection to the east. And it's gonna be messy, but it's really gonna be cool. I think they've really gotten a good job. The only part that seemed a little bit strange to me, the roundabouts on the east end. So you better know what you're doing in roundabouts with 2 of them to go through to make it 10 feet. You have to drive a mile and a half.
They settled on the 2.
Well, I'm going downstairs to talk to Mr. Sandy just to make his life miserable on his second to the last day. So, but the project, I think, is moving forward really well, and I think it's really gonna look nice. So, and that hasn't really been done for 30 years. So, okay, that's it.
Thanks, Kelly. Yeah, and on the Washington Street, and I'm sure you're on top of it, Tyler, but if we could get input from those businesses sooner than later on a program that we could do as a city or as something to keep them alive in what's going to be a rough year for traffic counts, that, you know, talk to them sooner than later, even though we pushed it back to 2026, that's going to come a lot sooner than any of us really think. And I have nothing to add, so with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn, Bevins.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn at 8:03. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. That motion